Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Rewrite Your Money Story Bootcamp. I loved yesterday so much. When I did the assignment, I realized how these old stories they're just rubbish. I just don't need to be thinking that way. So it felt really empowering to burn the page and symbolically release them. It was so powerful. So today's lesson is all about making a committed decision and the self-image to match. Committed decisions are so powerful, they can have an enormous impact on the direction of your life. So at the end of this session, we'll drop the assignment into the guide section of the Facebook page, and the replay will be available on Facebook and YouTube until Friday midnight Eastern. So if you have any questions, please feel free to post them in the chat or into the Facebook page. And let's get started. So over to you, Hayley.
Awesome. Thanks, Ingrid. Welcome, everyone. Whether you're here live, you're maybe joining a little late, or on the replay. We're so happy that you're tuning in this week. I want to mention, too, Ingrid is in Australia. And so it is, what, 2 a.m. there, Ingrid? Yeah, talk about commitment. And Keith is in South Africa, and I'm in Chicago. So I just love the collective that, this community, especially this team, but like the community that we have people from all over the world. And I think that is so beautiful and so special. So I just want to recognize that. If you are here live with us, drop in the chat where you're from, maybe. If you're catching it on replay, feel free to comment where you're from. I love learning more about you guys as well. So what we're going to do today is just going to touch on a little bit of a recap from yesterday, and then we'll get right into the lesson. So yesterday we started off by going into identifying what our money stories are, okay? And we didn't spend a lot of time on it, but it was all about, getting them out and down on paper and then burning them so that you can release them, right? You can start to begin that process of release and then surrender and open yourself up to a new way and a new story for yourself. Because we all have that ability to write our own story, exactly what we want, right? We don't have to be a victim or a product of the upbringing or the current environment or the current circumstances. And so rewriting that story is so important. So we're going to get more into that today. I wanted to touch on a couple things though. Doing the assignments, they're so simple, and I put it in the post today. They're so simple to do, but they're so simple not to do. I know a lot of people will come to these free events and they'll listen and they'll, do a little bit of the reading and kind of participate here and there. But I really want to encourage you guys to do the lessons. Again, they help to process so much internally that will help you get those results. And the reason why you're here, right, is to get different results. So I really want to encourage that. The other thing I wanted to say was, yesterday I touched on, what is your story as it relates to money and finances? Do you have a story that, there's always enough, there's always just enough, or there's always more than enough? Okay, so that was such a simple thing that I just quickly touched on, but I wanted to relate it to a story that that I experienced when I was going through, some financial struggles, and I was in the process of kind of rewriting my story. And that was, I had another coach, an accountability partner of mine, who said to me, I was able to be very open and honest with where I was at and the struggles I was faced with. And, she said, isn't it enough? She said, isn't it amazing how, so even when things are at their worst, or you feel like you have a lot of pressure, there's always just enough, right? You're not going to be out on the street. There's likely food in the fridge. You likely have electricity on. So when we're feeling that pressure and we're faced with any sort of fear, I really want you just to scale back, go within and really take it back to basics. Okay. It's likely that, you probably have a roof over your head and, again, electricity is on and there's food in the fridge. And so just know, find comfort and safety in that. And then even just rewrite it. Okay. So if there's always just enough, even if it's stressful throughout the week or the month, you can rewrite that. Start telling yourself So for a while, what I did was when she had helped me identify that, I would, whenever I was faced with any fear, I would say, there's always enough. There's always enough. And that would be my auto suggestion to myself. That would be my affirmation. There's always enough. There's always enough. And it released some of that tension and some of that anxiety. And then it was like, I don't know, maybe 6 months later, I was telling another friend of mine in the industry this story, and she said, well, just rewrite it. Just start saying, there's always more than enough. There's always more than enough. And so that's the power that we have, you guys. That is the power that we have. Just start affirming, as simple as that. And some other affirmations that I wrote down, like, if you're ever faced with uncertainty or challenging, moments or times, days, weeks, because it's going to happen. We're all human. We all still experience that. There's other affirmations that you can use too. And it's called auto suggestion, where you're suggesting to your subconscious what it is you want to accept and take in. So you can say, affirmations like, I love money, money loves me. Like, just even if you just say it to yourself, I love money, money loves me. I love money, money loves me. Like, it feels good. It feels light. And then that helps you to develop a stronger relationship with your finances. Okay. It helps you build a stronger foundation of financial health. Okay. The other one that I love, and I got this straight from Bob, and it will probably sound familiar, is money comes to me in increasing quantities on a continuous basis from unlimited sources. So like, you can go back and listen to the recording and write that down as an affirmation, and just keep this. The affirmations are there to help you auto suggest and begin to rewrite your money story. Okay. So we write it out, we burn it, we get rid of it. And you guys, you might need to write it a few times. I know I went through a period of time where I felt like I was burning paper in my fire pit, like, every other night, but that's okay. Like, listen to your intuition, let that guide you. Our intuition is one of our higher mental faculties, and we'll get into those on Thursday. But you need to let your inner guide, your intuition, guide you towards what it is you need in order to help you rewrite. These are all just suggestions and tools for your tool belt, for you to pull from and let that inner voice guide you. So I'm going to jump over here to my slides for today. We're going to do a quick recap on goal setting, and then we'll get into the lessons. So just for those of you that are maybe tuning in, fresh and aren't familiar with me, I am an executive mindset and wellness coach. I won't go into my story. I'm going to expand upon it a little bit. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a Procter Gallagher consultant, having been trained, very closely by Bob and Arash Sugi, a speaker, an author, a yogi, a mindfulness meditator, and certainly not last, I am a mom. And that was my first T-type goal. Was I definitely wanted to be a mom and have kids. So not last, but definitely, on the list. What we covered yesterday was, going into what is it that you really want. Okay. Once we've written out our goals, once we've written out what it is our story is, that is not serving us, and we've burned it, then we want to move right into action in terms of setting a new goal. And that first step is really being honest with yourself around, okay, what is it that I want? What is my heart? What is my soul calling me to do? Don't worry about what you think you're supposed to do, what other people want for you, but really go into what it is that you want. Okay, that is the first step in any goal creation. So then, it starts with, what do I want? And then we get into the details, right? We get into, okay, well, we take what it is that you want to create, and then we make an actionable, measurable goal alongside that, so that we can, begin to track your progress. And what we covered yesterday was there are 3 different types of goal setting. Okay, it's really important to remember too, a goal is not about the getting, a goal is about the growth. And that's actually what you end up getting in the process is you get this growth, this internal growth of discovering who you are, who you're meant to be, and why you're here. And I promise you, there's no greater freedom than that, than living your truth, shedding your old programming, like rewriting that story and becoming that person. Okay, so the different types of goals, in case you didn't catch the replay yesterday, you could set an A-type goal. That's something that you already know how to achieve, so it doesn't provide a lot of growth. Then you can set a B-type goal, and B-type goals are, what you think you can do, right? If you write out all the steps and everything happens just so, it's what you think you can achieve. Okay, so again, there's no right or wrong way to set a goal, but in the coaching that we do here with Haley's Health, is all about stretching you and creating the greatest amount of growth possible so that you can accomplish and achieve what it is that you want. So we call those C-type goals. And the C-type goals are what you literally remove the word how. You have no idea how in the world you're going to do it. And if you even know the how a little bit, it doesn't qualify as a C-type goal. All right, so we literally want you to not know the how. Don Shula, the former coach of the Miami Dolphins, I'm a huge football fan. He used to say, has a quote that says, it's the start that stops most people. And that's so true, because what happens is, we shed our old stories and we get this idea of what it is we want to achieve and create. We get an idea of, I want to go out and launch my own business, or I want to, move into a new house or buy a new house or a new apartment. And you have no idea how you're going to do it. Your circumstances at the time don't, indicate that it's possible. And so that is the C-type goal. And that's where we want to get you to. We want to elevate your thinking and get you on that frequency, keep you on that frequency more often than not, as you're working towards your goal. So those are the different levels of goal setting that we covered yesterday. And the last one that we touched on was, and it's just a really simple concept, is that a goal should scare you a little and excite you a lot. Like that, and we're going to get into the scare part. It's because that's a little bit of fear, and that fear, I promise you, if you're not experiencing any fear, or you're not stretching yourself far enough. And that's why working with a coach and a mentor is so important, because there's a true art form to goal creation, okay, and goal writing. And so it's about stretching you. It's about getting you to a place within yourself that you never even dreamed possible. And that's what a proper goal will do for you. It'll scare you a little, but excite you a lot, right? I said yesterday, you'll get out of bed in the morning. You won't even know why. You'll just be excited because you're working towards your goal. It's so special. So now we get into the fun part. Whenever we go to this place, and it starts with that one idea, right? It starts with that one idea that's a want, and we turn it into a goal. And we go to this place in our thoughts first. There's only two things that hold us back. All right, only two things. I'm going to keep this really, really simple. The only two things that hold us back are our paradigms, which is our current programming. And the second thing is fear. Okay, so the first thing we're going to touch on are our paradigms. Okay, because this is something that we all have. Okay, so keeping this again very simple, I just want you to really think about this. So our paradigms, it's a program, it's a mental program that resides in our subconscious mind. And it's a program that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. And when you think about it, almost all of our behavior is habitual. Keith and I were talking about it yesterday about, if you really think about, and I got this from, I've studied with Joe Dispenza, and he's got a great audio on this about, when you think about like your routine when you wake up in the morning, right? So a lot of people, and I'm generalizing here for sure, but, until you really start to get into this mindset material, you wake up, your phone likely wakes you up with an alarm, And a lot of times before you even get out of bed, you're checking, okay, where are my emails? Who's updated on social media? Like, what do I need to check? Like, what are your go-to apps? And so already before you even get out of bed, more often than not, you're already setting the tone for your day, right? That's your environment, especially in the last couple of years. This is the environment that you've created for yourself that created the program that you're running on. So then we get done with that, and then we get out of bed. We'll likely go to the bathroom, maybe shower, get some coffee, get ready to either hop on a Zoom, or maybe we're going back to the office now. And it's definitely changing a lot in the last couple of years, but for the most part, until you learn how to take control over your mindset, by the time we're out of bed and we start to go about our day, we are already on autopilot, right? So we go through these motions, we go about our day, and then we get done with work. And, if you have kids or a family, you go right into homework mode, you go into dinner mode, bedtime mode. And then before you know it, the day's over. And, have you really stopped to think for yourself? Like, are you working towards a goal? Are you working towards what it is you want? Or is your paradigm controlling you? Okay, and our paradigm is so strong and it's so sneaky. To go a little deeper with this, I'm going to use one of my favorite graphics. It's so simple, but this is the stick person. And the reason why it's important to have this illustration is because, let's just say, Ingrid, I'm just going to pull you on real quick. If I were to say to you, what is your, let's see, close your eyes real quick. What does your refrigerator look like? What color is it?
Okay, it's white.
Okay. Do the doors open left to right, right to left, in the center?
Left to right.
Okay. Is the freezer on the top, on the bottom?
The freezer's on the top.
Okay. Now let's go to your front door. What does your front door look like?
It's green and it has stained glass in it.
Okay. Does it open left to right, right to left?
Left to right.
Okay. Now let's go to your mind. Tell me what your mind looks like.
There's no picture.
Mm-hmm. So you can open your eyes. So that's why we need a picture, because we think in pictures. Okay, that's just how we're conditioned and programmed as humans. So we think in pictures, but because we don't have a picture of the mind, most people will say, I don't have a picture. Some people will say, it looks like my brain. But your brain is not your mind. It's a part of your mind, but it's not your mind any more than your arm is your mind, your fingernail is your mind, your hair is your mind. Our mind is in every cell of our body. But because we think in pictures, it's important to get a picture for this illustration and for this lesson to understand how the mind works. Okay, so what we have is on the top half, we've got for some reason my mouse is not working correctly, but on the top half, we have the conscious mind. So we're going to use the head as just a picture for the mind. We're going to draw a line in the center. The top half, we have the conscious mind. And the bottom half, we have the subconscious mind. And then underneath that, we have the body, right? The body is an instrument of the mind. Now, our conscious mind is our thinking mind. It's our educated mind, and it's our intellect. Our subconscious is much different. It is our emotional mind. Okay, it's our heart. It's our heart center. But this is where our emotions, our heart lives, and our subconscious controls 96 to 98% of all of our results, our perceptions, and our behaviors. Okay, so this is why the results that you're getting right now in any area of your life, finances, health, relationships, career, whatever it is, are a result of what is going on in your subconscious mind right now. So this is why it's so important to understand how we're programmed. So now our conscious mind has the ability to choose any thought that it wants, right? It can pick a thought and it can choose what thought it wants to think. Then it can actually accept that thought or it can reject that thought. It can also originate a thought. So, to go deeper with this, like, I could say, okay, I'm going to have lunch today. I know that at some point, I'm going to choose what it is. I'm going to think like, okay, what's in my fridge? Like, I'm going to choose these thoughts to think, to give me what I want to manifest, right? Because that's another form of manifesting, like what it is what I'm going to have for lunch. Now I can accept or reject those thoughts. I can also originate, I can come up with a completely new thought through the conscious mind. Okay. The subconscious mind operates much differently. The subconscious mind, it must accept. It has no ability to reject. It must accept what is impressed upon it. It cannot reject. And here's the thing, it can't determine the difference between that which is real and that which is imagined. So this is where we really get into this work. Okay. This is where, the subconscious mind, if you think about it, you guys, like it controls 96 to 98% of all of your results. So if what's in the subconscious mind, what is stored in the subconscious mind, it can't reject any thoughts. It must accept, and it doesn't know the difference between that which is real and what is imagined. There's our power, right? That is our power to be able to reprogram our subconscious mind to get these different results. Okay, to get whatever it is we want to create, who it is we want to be, how we want to rewrite our story, and that's our power. And we all have it, right? That's the beauty. And this stuff is not, it's not taught in school. But I promise you, I've done this myself. I've helped many people create different results, and this is where you learn to take back that power that you have within you. I'll also tell you that the paradigm. I'm just going to go back to this slide. So the paradigm the paradigm is formed first for us through genetics. Then it continues to get it continues to get reinforced throughout our little life, through as we're growing up, our adolescence, through our caregivers, our teachers, our friends, and especially now social media. And so the paradigm is formed for us before we even realize that we can accept or reject these ideas that are going on around us. Okay. And and there's only two ways to change a paradigm. The first way is through an emotional impact. And emotional impacts are usually not something positive. They can be. They're usually not. An emotional impact could be like 9/11. That was a part of my story. It could be a divorce, loss of a job. It could be the death of someone close to you. It could be, but it could, on the positive note, it could also be, birth of a child, a new marriage, a new move. These are all types of emotional impacts. Okay. Now, the thing about an emotional impact is that you don't want to wait to change the paradigm and to understand how your mind works. You don't want to wait for an emotional impact, because it can become very hard to create change and to take back that control and take back that power, because what happens is we tend to spiral in a different direction. Like you guys, I know a lot of you know that 9/11 was a part of my story. And as I wrote in my bio last week, it was 9/11 happened in 2001. This was, it was 2004, 5, 6, until I really started to understand what had happened. And so that's years of suppression. And I know I'm not, there's a lot of people that have past trauma and things that have happened in their lives that, have created where they're at today. And again, a lot of people don't even know that that is, we're a product of past, experiences and results. The other way to change a paradigm, and what I encourage everyone to do, is to, invest in yourself. Like, it's through time-spaced repetition of studying the same thing, learning the same thing, getting involved in this material, and then and elite level coaching and mentorship, right? If you want to accelerate the process to get different results, it's the only way. All right. So let's move ahead. Scroll through. So the other way, the only other thing that holds us back, oh, and then the slides. So yeah, this is just further reiterating the programming. So we've got, at the time that we're born, our subconscious mind is wide open, just like this. All right. It's wide open and it's taking everything in. And we have all of these ideas, these rules that are, that we're led to follow, values and beliefs that are programmed into us, and we're not even aware of it. We just kind of start following our culture, our society, our family, how we are led, how we're taught. And so that's how, our results, I find that a lot of people I work with are usually anywhere from like late 20s and to, on up, where you start to realize that you actually have control over the thoughts you think, and you can change your results. You can accept or reject different ideas. You can create new beliefs. And I love, what's going on now. I believe that it's starting younger and younger, which is really, really encouraging, for people to get, the results that they want. And that all in turn forms the paradigm. All right. So the next thing that holds us back, like I'd mentioned, is this fear, right? So we've got the paradigm that can hold us back. And then the next thing is what we call the terror barrier. Okay. So just think of it like this. Anytime, so when you've gotten rid of your past story, you've rewritten your story, you've created a new goal. And so it's introduced this new idea, this higher concept of yourself onto the screen of your mind. Okay. You're playing around with this new idea of, who it is that you want to become, what it is you want to achieve. And anytime you are setting a goal that results, skipping a couple of rungs on the ladder, you're going to run up against this terror barrier. It's going to happen, and it happens over and over. It's not one and done. It happens every time you set a new goal. It happens over and over again. Whenever you go out to make a serious change in your life, moving out of the comfort zone, you will run up against this terror barrier. You just have to accept it. Now, and this is the tricky thing with this material, is that, and this isn't meant to scare anyone. It's just meant to be very honest, because what happens is that a lot of people will start the goal setting process, and they'll start to create some change, and they'll start to see some results. But then when they run up against this terror barrier or any sort of fear, they'll say, nope, that's not for me, because we are conditioned, we are programmed to want to stay comfortable, right? Our five senses, what we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, they're there to keep us safe, right? We need them. But when we live from our five senses only, we are living from the outside in and not the inside out. And when you shift that way of thinking, and you learn through repetition, and coaching and study and understanding, you learn how to live from the inside out. That is where you're really going to create results. That's where you're really going to accelerate the manifestation process. But again, most of us are not conditioned and programmed to be comfortable outside of our comfort zone. I remember, I think it was Bob used to say that, you know, when you realize that you're comfortable being uncomfortable more often than not, like that's like another growth moment. And I remember being on the phone when Arash started coaching me again a few years ago. And I remember like I was sitting in my car, I was on a coaching call with him, and I remember thinking like I'm uncomfortable 90% of the time. And it might have even been a little bit more, but listen, that's okay, right? Because again, there's no growth outside of your comfort zone. You cannot stay in safety. And that's exactly what leads me to this. Like you can, if you're going to stay in safety, when this happens, you have a choice. We all have a choice, right? You can either step forward or you can go back into safety. And if you stay in safety, that's where the results keep, the same year after year after year. I have felt like that this is like being uncomfortable most of the time, is stepping off onto this ledge like this person right here. So we all have that choice, and you don't have to choose. You can stay comfortable. That's your choice. But again, if you're really looking to create change, you're going to have to get comfortable. All right. So this slide, I have a little bit of some formatting issues today. So just bear with me for a second, but this is one of my favorite lessons where it comes down to making the decision, right? So this is where you have a choice. You can decide to stay in safety, or you can step out and grow. So we all have a choice, and it comes down to making a decision. But when I say making a decision, I really want you to think about that. The decision chapter in Think and Grow Rich is, I'm pretty sure it's the longest chapter in the book, for a reason, because most people are not taught how to make a proper decision or a committed decision, right? And so you have to say, I'm going after this no matter what. I don't care what fear comes in. I don't care what adversity sets in, or even what success comes in. Because that's the other thing, you start stacking these wins, and then you get really confident and you think, oh, I've got this. But that's where the paradigm comes in, right? That's when that paradigm is so sneaky and it'll try to trick you. And that's why, being in like a structured environment, being in any sort of coaching or mentorship program is so important, because it provides you that guidance. It provides you that environment. So this is a quick lesson on decision making, just to illustrate that. So I want you to, for the sake of this lesson, let these white lines represent different levels of frequency, right? Different levels of thought frequency. And we think on frequencies, okay? So what happens is we have a thought. Oh, there we go. So we have a thought that leads to another thought, that leads to another thought, that leads ultimately to a result. Like I was giving the lunch example. But, I'm already, like this weekend, I'm planning some time with my family, and, I'm already thinking, okay, I have to do this, and then I have to do that in order to get to that point. And so this is where I'm currently at, right? This is the frequency that I'm currently operating on. What happens is when we get a goal, we say, I'm going there, right? It's on a different frequency. It's on a higher frequency. It's somewhere that we haven't been before. So we have this goal. We say, I'm going here, and we make a decision to go there. And we say, okay, so I'm going to go there. Let's just say I'm going to take a trip. I'm going to go to Greece. It's on my list. And so I'm going to take this trip to Greece, and I'm going to bring my whole family, and this is a goal of mine, and this is what I want to do. I'm making this decision that I'm going to do that. And then you say, okay, but I'll do it when I get this promotion, or I'll do this when, I, sign my next big client, and what happens is I'm going to do that again, because we have these thoughts, right? And we set the goal and we make the decision. But this is how most people are programmed, is we make the decision to go on a different frequency. However, we're making it from our current programming, right? We're making it from this frequency down here of where I'm at. And the problem is when that happens, is that the decision to do it, because you're not able to see the results right away, the decision to go after it eventually fades away. And then after enough time, the goal fades away. So what you need to do is you have to work on programming your mind to get on this higher frequency. It all comes down to the thoughts that you think in order to help you get closer to your goal. The thoughts that you think on the higher frequency, keeping them up there, it's like this mental endurance. I always equate it to like a, Olympic athlete, or someone who is a high performing performer, or, where you want to keep someone that has trained their skill set. And this is exactly what we're doing. We're training our mindset to get the results that we want on this higher frequency. Because what happens is that when we constantly are thinking thoughts from where we're at, our current results are, we're not, it doesn't lead. We have to move into action. And in order to do that, our thoughts have to stay on this higher frequency. So that is, and again, just to close it out here, it comes down to a choice, right? We can go in one direction, or we can go in another direction. And so what I want to leave you with today is, we are going to drop in the chat. I believe it's actually already in the resources section, but we'll put it in the guide section as well. And then I'll hand it over to Keith to close this out. But there's an article that Bob Proctor, my mentor, wrote. It's just on decision. Okay, so I encourage you to read this 3 times today, and then we'll create a post. I would love for you to just post like 1 or 2 of your key takeaways in the comment section of that first post, on what you learned, because there's a lot of information that we packed in today, and in a very short amount of time. So the only way, again, this material is very simple. These exercises are very simple to do. They're simple not to do. The only way you're going to gain deeper understanding is by doing them. So if you're serious about getting different results, I really encourage you to do the exercise today. All right. And then tomorrow, this is all leading us into setting up, our self-image, right? So that's what we're going to work on tomorrow, is our self-image. And I just think, this quote by Bill Gove, it was such a game changer for me. And you've heard me, I'm sure, say it before, is that if I'm going to be free, I've got to be me. Not the me you think I should be, not the me my husband, wife, or partner thinks I should be, not the me my kids think I should be. Right? If I'm going to be free, I've got to be me. And so I've got to know who me is. And the only way by doing that is to really pull from something from within, to listen to that intuition. Use your imagination to create the life that you want, the person that you want to be. I promise you, it's never too late, and you can accomplish anything, right? And so we're here to help. I'll hand it over to Keith now, and thank you for being here. Thanks for watching the replay. Go back and watch the replay. The repetition is everything with this material. So Keith, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Haley. This is so incredible. This was such a beautiful lesson. I learned so much today. I'm also excited and just feeling so thrilled that I get to be here to practice this information. So guys, I just want to touch on a few key points that I think were really key for today's lesson, and that is repetition and frequency. In order to match the frequency that you essentially want to achieve, repetition is key. Haley talked about the athlete that goes through their training, right? They go through physical conditioning and physical training to be able to get to a certain point in their journey. And the brain is no different, right? The brain, essentially, we call it a muscle, right? It is a muscle that a lot of us actually neglect training. And it is through repetition that we're able to actually match that frequency and be like the mental athletes to be able to go for the things that we want in our lives. And I think that's something that for me personally, when I started, some time ago studying this material, it wasn't immediately apparent that repetition is quite key, right? I was very resistant to repeating the same thing over and over again, but only to realize after some time, you actually start to find that, you know, things just happen automatically because you've trained yourself to be able to match that frequency. So that's a really key part. And I think, you know, for me, I would say, take that, you know, if something seems like it's boring or whatever the case is, just do it again, just do it again, just do it again, and do it again, and do it again. I promise you, something will start to click. And you, through that process, you start learning something else, and you grow and you expand. And by growth, you're able to match that frequency. So I think that's really what I want to leave you with. But in terms of just the lesson, the assignment for today, we'll post that through the group. But it's essentially reading again, repetition. It's reading the decision article 3 times. If you want to read it more times, it's up to you. But just read it 3 times today, and just sit with it. You know, write some of the things that you think are really standing out of that article that really touch you. Please post that in the Facebook group, and let's keep it going. So thank you, guys. Thank you for coming and joining us today. If you also do want to catch yesterday's exercise, it's also in the guide section. We'll probably just just tag you guys on that Facebook post as well, so you can get to do that exercise if you missed it yesterday. But yes, repetition.
Yeah,
repetition.
I was just going to say, Keith, I just need to add to that, because you're so right. Like, repetition is everything. I mean, repetition is the first law of learning, right? You and I talked about this yesterday. Like, you didn't learn your name once and then you remembered it forever. Like, you were told it over and over and over again. So find something, really lock into something that you like to study, and just go really deep with it. It could be like this decision article is so powerful. Keep reading it, because as Keith was saying, like that, it makes such a game changer in terms of your awareness. And the only thing in life, only thing that holds us back is our current level of awareness. So in anything that we want to achieve, we need to raise our level of awareness, which is what we're doing through this study and these exercises. So I just felt compelled to add that.
Absolutely. And it's, exactly, it's something that I resisted initially, but through the learning process and, going over it and over it and over it again, something just clicks and something else opens up in your mental, fortitude, and you open up new worlds that you never even thought were there. I mean, when we speak about the subconscious mind, one of the things that really sat with me is that 96% of that really controls who we are. And that's a lot of that we're not even aware is happening, So yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed today's lesson, and we'll see you on Facebook, and we'll see you tomorrow again. Have a lovely evening.